The sky over Zytheria was a strange mixture of deep violet and streaks of gold, a constant reminder of the planet's otherworldly beauty. High above the royal palace, sleek airships glided silently, reflecting the colors of the sky on their polished metallic surfaces. Inside the palace, the atmosphere was a mix of tense energy and strict order. Alien courtiers moved in precise, measured steps, their elongated limbs and shimmering eyes reflecting years of ritualized protocol. At the heart of this complex world sat Queen Lysera, the ruler of Zytheria, known across the galaxy for her intelligence, her strategic mind, and a reputation for being unyielding. On this morning, Lysera's sharp eyes scanned the palace from her observation deck. A new human guard had arrived that day, dispatched by interstellar authorities as reinforcement for the palace security. Humans were rare in the higher circles of Zytheria's elite, often serving as mercenaries, traders, or negotiators. They were unpredictable, often reckless, yet sometimes brilliant. Lysera did not expect much from this newcomer, and yet when she first saw him, she froze. He stood tall and broad-shouldered, moving with the disciplined precision of a trained soldier. His brown hair was neatly cropped, and his steady green eyes scanned the room with both caution and confidence. There was something about him, a subtle familiarity that pulled at a memory she had long buried. For a brief moment, her mind was flooded with images she had not thought of for decades. A man who had once been close to her, a human who had betrayed her trust, leaving her heart aching with a mixture of love and anger. And now, standing before her, was a human whose face and bearing were eerily similar to that very man. Lysera took a slow breath, regaining her composure, and approached her advisors. "Ensure the guard is briefed," she said in her melodic, commanding voice, "and monitor him closely. I want to know his skills, his loyalty, and his intentions." Her words were carefully neutral, but her heart raced in ways she hadn't expected. She could not afford to show any weakness, not in front of the court, not in front of him. Ethan, the human guard, had spent the morning learning the protocols and layout of the palace. He was aware of the alien customs, the strict hierarchies, and the complex security measures. Yet nothing could have prepared him for the first time he saw Queen Lysera. She was even more imposing than the stories had described, a figure of authority that radiated both beauty and danger. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, seemed to pierce right through him, and for a moment he felt exposed, as if all his secrets were laid bare. He bowed respectfully, following the customs he had been taught, and introduced himself.
"I am Ethan."
Assigned to the protection of the palace and its inhabitants. His voice was calm, steady, betraying none of the rapid heartbeat he felt from the intensity of her gaze. Lysera observed him carefully. He was competent, yes, but more importantly, he had a presence that demanded attention. He moved with a confidence that was rare for humans in foreign courts. And there it was again, that subtle echo of someone she had once known. She shook her head slightly, reminding herself that he was just another human, another soldier. She could not allow herself to dwell on old memories. There was work to do. The first days passed with a tense normality. Ethan carried out his duties with precision, patrolling corridors, monitoring communications, and ensuring the palace defenses were in place. The other guards, both alien and human, took notice of his efficiency, some with quiet admiration, others with skepticism. Ethan's skills were undeniable, but it was his ingenuity and ability to anticipate threats that set him apart. It did not take long for trouble to arrive. A series of small yet alarming incidents began to disturb the palace. Important messages were intercepted. Delicate systems showed signs of tampering, and a strange energy signature was detected in the lower levels of the palace. The alien guards were baffled, unable to identify the source. Ethan, however, approached the problem differently. He relied not only on technology but also on observation, reasoning, and intuition, a combination that impressed even the most skeptical of alien officials. One evening, as the twin suns of Zytheria dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the palace, Ethan found himself in the labyrinthine lower corridors. He had noticed unusual readings in the surveillance systems and followed the trail, careful not to trigger any alarms. The corridors were quiet, eerily so, but Ethan's senses were alert. He moved silently, scanning for any anomalies, any hint of intrusion, and then he saw it. A shadowy figure manipulating a control panel, a creature unlike anything he had encountered before. Its skin shimmered with iridescent scales, and its multiple limbs moved in a coordinated, almost hypnotic rhythm. The creature turned abruptly, revealing sharp eyes and a mouth lined with needle-like teeth. Ethan reacted instinctively, using a stun baton to disable the intruder. The creature resisted, but Ethan's training and quick thinking allowed him to subdue it. By the time the alien security team arrived, Ethan had already contained the threat. When Lysera learned of the incident, she did not react with her usual detached authority. Instead, she observed Ethan from the observation deck, a mixture of astonishment and curiosity flickering across her face. Here was a human who had faced a creature that no alien guard had been able to handle, and emerged victorious. And, more than that, he had done so with calm intelligence, decisiveness, and courage. That night, Lysera found herself walking through the quiet halls of the palace, thinking about the human guard. His resemblance to her ex-husband was undeniable, yet there was something fundamentally different about him. He carried himself with integrity, his actions guided by honor rather than selfish ambition. She could feel a strange pull, a mix of suspicion and intrigue, as she realized that this human might challenge not just her defenses, but also her carefully constructed emotional walls. Over the following days, Ethan and Lysera began to work more closely. She tasked him with overseeing the palace's security systems, advising on defense strategies and monitoring potential threats. Ethan approached each task methodically, earning the trust of the alien generals and even some of the skeptical courtiers. Lysera watched silently, her mind often drifting back to memories she had tried to forget. She noted the similarities, the subtle echoes of past emotions, but also the differences. Ethan was not the man who had betrayed her. He was something new, something unpredictable, and yet undeniably human in his courage and morality. The tension in the palace increased as more signs of sabotage emerged. Messages threatened the Queen, warning of a plot that could destabilize Zytheria and its fragile alliances. Ethan's keen observations and tactical thinking allowed them to anticipate several breaches, each time preventing disaster. Lysera could not help but feel respect, and perhaps even admiration, for this human who seemed to operate effortlessly in a world so alien to him. One evening, as a violent storm swept across the palace grounds, Ethan discovered a secret passage leading deep into the lower levels. The passage was hidden, unmarked in any of the palace maps, and radiated an unusual energy signature. Recognizing the danger, he immediately informed Lysera. Together, they prepared to investigate, combining his human ingenuity with her strategic knowledge of the palace. As they moved through the passage, the walls glowing with a faint bioluminescent light, Lysera felt a strange sense of anticipation. This was not just another security threat. There was something more at play, something that challenged her instincts and tested her judgment. Ethan, for his part, remained focused, assessing every detail, every sound, every shadow. He had learned quickly that survival in Zytheria required both courage and careful observation. They reached the heart of the secret passage and found the source of the disturbance. A sophisticated alien device capable of manipulating the palace's energy fields, designed to create chaos and confusion. Ethan quickly analyzed the mechanism, understanding its function with a speed and clarity that impressed even Lysera. Together, they dismantled the device, neutralizing the threat before it could cause damage. After the incident, Lysera observed Ethan quietly. He had risked himself to protect her and the palace, demonstrating a combination of bravery, intelligence, and loyalty that she had rarely encountered in either human or alien allies. She realized that her initial reaction, freezing at his presence, was not just about resemblance. It was also about recognizing a rare human quality that could not be ignored. The following days saw a subtle shift in their dynamic. Lysera began to consult Ethan more openly, valuing his input in matters of security and strategy. The palace staff, once skeptical of the human guard, now watched him with respect and curiosity. Ethan, meanwhile, remained humble, performing his duties without seeking recognition, his focus always on protecting the Queen and maintaining order. Yet beneath the professionalism, a quiet tension lingered. Lysera struggled with her own emotions, torn between the memories of betrayal and the undeniable truth that Ethan was different. He was not her ex-husband. He was a man of integrity, a human who had earned her cautious trust. And for the first time in years, she felt a flicker of hope, a possibility that humans could surprise her in ways she had never imagined. The first part of their journey together ended with a quiet moment of reflection. Lysara stood on the observation deck. The morning after the discovery of the secret device, the palace of Cytheria was unusually quiet. The alien courtiers whispered among themselves, eyes flicking toward the human guard who had foiled yet another threat. Ethan moved with calm precision, inspecting the palace's systems, recalibrating sensors, and ensuring every corridor was secure. Even the aliens who had doubted him now watched with a mixture of respect and curiosity. Queen Lysara observed him from her chambers. She was aware of her feelings, the mix of suspicion, curiosity, and something softer that she had not expected. Her memories of her ex-husband, the betrayal, the heartbreak pressed against her. Yet Ethan was not that man. He was steady, loyal, and courageous. She felt a subtle pull toward him, something that went beyond mere resemblance. The palace alarm sounded suddenly, sharp and urgent. Ethan immediately straightened, scanning the room. He had been trained for emergencies, but his instincts were sharper than any protocol. Lysara followed closely, her composure hiding the tension she felt. The alarm indicated movement near the northern wing, a sector heavily restricted and usually untroubled. As they moved through the corridors, the alien guards were hesitant to enter the affected area. Ethan led the way, analyzing patterns and energy signatures. Lysara stayed close, watching him with a mix of professional interest and private fascination. The tension was palpable. Whoever had attempted to sabotage the palace before was back, bolder this time. They reached a large chamber where the walls were lined with strange alien technology. The energy readings were off the charts. Ethan crouched, examining the floor and walls, and quickly recognized the signs of another device, more advanced than the last. It was designed to disrupt communications and potentially disable defenses, leaving the palace vulnerable to invasion. Queen Lysara, this device is unlike anything I've seen, he said, his voice calm but firm. It's sophisticated, but I think we can neutralize it if we act quickly. She nodded, silently impressed by his clarity. Do it, I trust your judgment. Her words carried authority, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of something more. Admiration, and perhaps an unspoken hope that he would succeed. Ethan worked with precise movements, studying the device, tracing the flow of energy, and carefully disarming it. Lysara observed, occasionally offering advice on alien systems, though she allowed him to take the lead. His method was human, intuitive, and unlike any alien approach she had known. It was effective. In a matter of minutes, the threat was neutralized, leaving the chamber safe. Lysara exhaled, tension easing from her shoulders. She looked at Ethan, realizing just how much she relied on him, not just for the palace's safety, but for insight, judgment, and calm under pressure. For the first time in years, she felt a sense of trust toward a human. The following days brought a new challenge. The intelligence they gathered indicated that the sabotage attempts were part of a larger plot, a conspiracy stretching across the stars, targeting Cytheria for its strategic resources and alliances. The perpetrators were unknown, but their intent was clear: destabilize the Queen's rule and create chaos. Lysara convened a council, bringing Ethan into the room as her trusted advisor on security. The alien generals and diplomats looked skeptical at first, uncomfortable with a human participating in high-level strategy. Yet Ethan spoke with clarity and insight that left the assembly silent. He analyzed potential weaknesses, proposed contingencies, and offered tactics that combined alien technology with human ingenuity. Slowly, the council began to recognize his value. During strategy sessions, Lysara observed him closely. She noted how he approached problems, how he considered the ethics of each decision, and how his courage was matched by wisdom. It reminded her of her ex-husband's early promise, yet Ethan's integrity was undeniable. He did not manipulate or deceive. He acted with honor. Lysara felt a quiet admiration that was difficult to conceal. The first major confrontation came suddenly. An attack force had infiltrated the outer perimeter of the palace, disguised as traitors. Ethan, patrolling the area with his keen eyes, spotted the anomaly immediately. He alerted the guards, coordinated the response, and devised a plan to capture the intruders without unnecessary violence. The aliens were amazed at his ability to anticipate the enemy's moves and neutralize the threat efficiently. In the heat of the skirmish, one of the intruders triggered a powerful trap. Lysara, arriving to assess the situation, found herself in immediate danger. Without hesitation, Ethan lunged forward, shielding her from the blast. The force threw them both across the chamber, but he managed to protect her completely. Lysara's breath caught as she realized the depth of his bravery. As the intruders were subdued and taken into custody, Lysara helped Ethan to his feet. She studied him, noting the determination in his eyes, the calm strength in his stance. "You saved my life," she said softly, a hint of vulnerability in her tone. "Not just the palace, but me." Ethan shook his head. "I only did what anyone would do. My job is to protect you and the people of Cytheria. That's all." She wanted to argue, to tell him that not many humans or aliens would have acted with such courage. But she said nothing. Instead, she found herself thinking about the layers of his character: courage, intelligence, honor, and a sense of responsibility that was rare even among the aliens she trusted most. In the aftermath, Lysara invited Ethan to walk with her through the palace gardens. The twin suns were low on the horizon, casting golden light over the alien flora, the plants glowing softly with bioluminescence. For a moment, the weight of duty and politics lifted, leaving just the two of them walking side by side. "Tell me, Ethan," she said finally, "what makes a human so fearless, so quick to act when others hesitate?" He smiled faintly. "I don't know if it's fearlessness. Maybe it's just that humans have to act, even when they're afraid. Hesitation can be fatal. We rely on instinct, training, and sometimes hope." Lysara considered this carefully. Humans, she realized, approached the universe differently than her people. They combined logic with emotion, strategy with intuition, and courage with compassion. Ethan was a living example of that philosophy, and she found herself drawn to it, and to him. The days that followed were filled with planning and preparation. Intelligence indicated that the conspiracy was still active, aiming for a decisive strike against the palace. Lysara and Ethan worked closely, coordinating defenses, training elite squads, and strengthening communication networks. Each day, Lysara's trust in him deepened, as did her respect and quietly her admiration. When the final confrontation arrived, it was as sudden as it was intense. A fleet of enemy ships approached Cytheria, cloaked to evade detection. The palace alarms blared and the council convened immediately. Ethan, with his sharp mind and quick decisions, devised a counter-strategy that relied on a combination of alien technology and human ingenuity. The battle was fierce. Energy beams lit the skies. Explosions shook the palace, and yet through it all, Ethan moved with precision and clarity. He coordinated the defenses, anticipated enemy movements, and ensured that the palace remained intact. Lysara, overseeing the operations, watched him with awe. She could not ignore the growing sense of admiration, and something more personal she felt for the human guard who had become indispensable to her reign. In the heat of the battle, a critical moment came when a group of enemy saboteurs attempted to infiltrate the palace. Ethan intercepted them, neutralizing the threat with a combination of human tactics and alien technology. He fought not for glory but to protect the queen and her people. Lysara realized in that moment that this human was unlike any she had known, loyal, brave, and selfless. After the battle ended, the palace was safe, and the conspirators were captured. The council praised Ethan, formally recognizing him for his extraordinary service. Lysara stood before him, the weight of her thoughts and feelings heavy in her chest. She spoke clearly, her voice carrying both authority and a rare personal warmth. "Ethan, your actions have saved not just this palace, but the people of Cytheria. Your courage, intelligence, and loyalty are remarkable. You have earned not only my respect, but my trust." Ethan inclined his head, accepting her words with humility. "Thank you, Your Majesty." "I only did what was necessary." Lysara studied him for a long moment. The resemblance to her ex-husband was still there, undeniable, yet she felt no anger, no hesitation. Instead, she felt a rare sense of hope. This human was different, better. He had shown her that courage, honor, and loyalty could come from unexpected places. Over the following weeks, Ethan remained at the palace, working alongside Lysara to strengthen defenses and maintain peace. Their partnership became a model of cooperation between human ingenuity and alien wisdom. Lysera continued to observe him, her initial unease replaced by growing admiration and trust. She had faced betrayal before, but Ethan had proven that humans could also be sources of inspiration, courage, and integrity. In quiet moments, Lysera reflected on the changes within herself. The human guard who resembled her past had taught her that appearances could be deceiving, that actions defined character more than memory or resemblance. She had been frozen with hesitation at first, but now she felt something far more profound: respect, trust, and the beginnings of a bond that could transcend past pain and uncertainty. Ethan, for his part,